My name is Natalie, and I have an interview with a member of the band Suicide Silence on May 27th, 2014. Would you mind telling me the story as to how and why you wanted to call the band Suicide Silence?
Well, the band was started out of the imagination of one band member named Christopher Garza. And he just wanted to start a band that was the heaviest band in the world. And he thought of the heaviest band name in the world, and he thought of Suicide Silence. And then he moved on to drawing the logo on his science schoolwork in like ninth grade or something, and he just drew this scratchy logo that said Suicide Silence that no one could really read. And it was the original logo of the band, and the original logo was the original band name, and the logo and band name existed before the band ever started.
You guys have been a band for 12 years, and you're only on your fourth album. Don't you think you would have released a little bit more over that, course of time?
You would think so, but I mean, the band started when everybody was in high school, and like teenagers, and just like, we didn't know what recording an album was, and like that required money, and it required, for things to actually happen. But I mean, really, the band didn't put out anything until late 2005. There was the EP that got put out, and then we just once we kind of got some hype, I guess, so to say, we just toured. We had one EP out and like a bunch of songs that we hadn't put on any album yet, and we just went out on tour, and we literally like financed ourselves. We bought a van and trailer, toured the whole U.S. and Canada, took ourselves to England. We did a bunch of touring. We toured with Sepultura before we ever had a record deal or anything, and we were kind of just milking the quote-unquote industry. We knew that everybody wanted us to sign to a label, and there was tons of label interest, and there was no use putting out a record until somebody signed us. So we just toured and toured and toured, and then Century Media signed us, and we put out our first album in 2007. So it took us 5 years to put out a full length.
Speaking of labels, why did the change happen between you guys? Why are you now with Nuclear Blast, and how has the relationship with those guys been going?
We signed with Nuclear Blast because we had put out 3 records with our previous label. We had felt like our relationship with them was strong, but we felt like we could make a bigger move and just do something new. I mean, I think that in the music industry and in playing music professionally as a job, I don't think that it's always good to stay in one place. And I feel like creating new relationships and changing whatever the horizons may be is sometimes necessary. And signing with Nuclear Blast was a no-brainer because when we first had label interest, like I was telling you earlier, we had the EP out, and then we were just letting labels have interest in us. Roadrunner Records was the first label to look at us, and Monty Connor and Mike Baker were both involved with Roadrunner, and Monty Connor made the switch to Nuclear Blast right around the time that our contract was up to Century Media, and it was kind of like rekindling an old friendship. And he wanted us to sign to Nuclear Entertainment, and it just made so much sense, especially with knowing the owner of Nuclear Blast and him, loving Suicide Silence to the extent of asking us to play his wedding. So, I mean, they're already like family at Nuclear Blast, so it's great. It's a really good feeling to be with them.
Can you tell us how this new album differs from your previous one, and what can we expect, as far as the message behind it?
The progression of this record just came from basically, you're going to hear Suicide Silence at our best, I feel, because we pretty much hit rock bottom when our singer passed away, and we had to make room for everything emotionally to try and move forward this band without him was a difficult decision to make. And this record is coming from a spot that I think, for us, I mean, it's hard for me to say this, but I mean, from an outside perspective, it's a very rare occasion something like this really happens, and it's a bittersweet thing having this record that we're really, really excited about, but we know that we've gone through heartache and just difficult situations and hard decisions to do what we're doing. And this record is just a very, very strong culmination to where we are as humans, as musicians at this point in our lives. And we've given everything to this record, and it's a really good feeling because we let a lot out, but I know that we have a lot to let out even more, performing these songs and play them, and they just mean a lot to us. And the record's called You Can't Stop Me, and the message behind it is being unstoppable, not letting anything in life slow you down. And for anybody that's a fan or supports Suicide Silence, that we're here to empower them, and we're here to let them know that, you know, they can do anything as well. They're unstoppable, and we're here to support them, just like they support us.
What was the recording process like this time around? Was there anything different that happened, or was it the same old routine as before?
Being that we had a new singer, it was a new experience because we had to warm up to the way that he was warming up to us. You know, like, we're four guys that have been playing music together for quite some time, and he's a friend and knows us and knows the music and knows what kind of, you know, people we are, but at the same time how we collaborate was a different story. Mm-hmm. So the new thing about this was that we were basically just kind of tiptoeing around and trying to learn how everybody is going to work together. But I mean, really, it was a real sigh of relief when he just really clicked in on the fact that we're a band that gets in the jam room and plays together, writes together, works out songs together, and everybody, you know, makes the decision on when the song is done or what needs to be changed about the song. So the collaboration became very much so like all previous records, except it was a new person. So we had, you know, the new vocalist and all of us who just, you know, our souls are on fire. You know, we want to put this record out. We wanted to record this record. We wanted to get it done. We wanted to do the best thing that we possibly have ever done. So, I mean, there was a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves, but that's what makes us the band we are, is we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we constantly one-up each other and just try and make the best product, best sounding, just amazing, you know, heavy metal record that you're going to hear this year. So if not in the next 10 years, we just put everything we possibly could put into this record.
You said the album is called You Can't Stop Me, that supposedly came from a collection of lyrics left behind by Mitch. Now, were those lyrics an actual song or just bits and pieces? If it was a song, will that song be released later on or just left alone, or what's the deal?
What happened was there were two songs that we were recording, two just songs, instruments and whatnot. We had recorded them, and Mitch was going to record vocals for them literally November 1st. So he wrecked his bike on Halloween night, and you know, he was going to go in the studio the next day. So he had only one song lyrically ready to go into the studio that day. I assume he was going to write the other one while he was in the studio. Mm-hmm. But it was just lyrics, and we had written the music, and those lyrics were, you know, with the title You Can't Stop Me, and it was pretty easy to tell just by the structure of, there was only two songs it could have been written to, and we read the lyrics and we listened to the songs, and it was pretty easy to tell that he was writing it for this particular song, and that's the song that made the record. Mm-hmm. And that's the title track of the album, You Can't Stop Me. And it was just a real another just kind of pointing us in the right direction, making us feel like we were doing something that was right, because we didn't have those lyrics until we had already made the decision to move forward with the band, and Eddie was already in the band. We were in the band room, mm-hmm. and we got the lyrics of the song, and they were what they were, and we couldn't believe it. It was like, I can't believe this is a real life kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And we immediately we wrote You Can't Stop Me on our whiteboard that has all our song titles and ideas and stuff on it in the band room, and You Can't Stop Me stayed up there the entire writing process, and we knew that was the main influence of the record was that.
Could you describe your songwriting process? What comes first, the music or the lyrics?
Pretty much always the music comes first. We really like to think of our band as for lack of better words, a real band, a band that comes in together and jams and writes music together, and the music comes out of the people that are involved in the band, and it's not like, one person is writing all the music and the rest of the band is just playing it. Mm-hmm. We really like to collaborate. We like to work with each other, and if somebody really doesn't like a part, it's like, why don't you like that part? Like, what do you want to do instead? And it really gets the roundedness of our influences, because not everybody is coming from the same musical background. I mean, it's all very similar, but a lot of us have, grew up on different stuff, and I think that's what makes our writing process a little bit different than a lot of death metal or heavy metal bands, because we really like to work with each other, as opposed to like, I'm a guitar player, I'm going to dominate this whole song and write just a super guitar song. We leave room for each other.
How did you choose who you wanted to have as guest vocals on this album?
It came pretty easily. The singer Cannibal Corpse, George Corpse Grinder Fisher, he was, we were on tour together in South America in 2011, and we were just having a good time, and we were all drunk and partying. Our bass player, we're all huge Cannibal Corpse fans. It was an honor to be on tour with them. It's an honor to have him on the record, but we just said, you're singing on the new record. Like, we're going to give you whatever amount of money your label needs. We're going to give you however much money you need, and we'll book the studio time. We'll do it. And he just looks at us and goes, you're not paying me anything to record or to be on your record. I'm singing on that shit for free. And we're like, well, that's amazing. Like, that's even better. So, Corpse Grinder is just like, he's the man, and we're really happy that he did that. And then Greg Cucciato from the Dillinger Escape Plan. We met the Dillinger Escape Plan in 2010 on Warped Tour, and honestly, we just kind of like, we knew them, and we made friends with them decently, but we became even closer with them when we started using the same producer, and we kind of felt like we were a part of the same family. And we were on tour with Greg, kind of the same story as Corpse Grinder. We were on Soundwave, and it was like, this part sounds like it would be really cool if it had two opposing voices singing at each other, against each other, and kind of battle the voices. And Steve, our producer, called us while we were in Australia and said, it'd sound really good if there was something on there like that. And then we were with Greg, and we were like, Greg, you want to sing on this? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we went home, and he recorded it.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of different bands, have done that, have had the guest vocals on different albums. And then I've noticed, well, hey, they had that guy from that band, and look, they're both on the same tour. So that seems to be happening with Mayhem. Are you going to ask George to come out on stage and fill in his part for that song, or is that song not even going to be on the set list?
We don't know what our set list is yet, so it's very possible that we might do that. But at the same time, I think there might be some older songs that I think the crowd will want to hear. We're going to try and have our set be diverse and not just be a bunch of new songs, so that we can, satisfy the old fans too. It's only a half hour.
Can you tell me about the album's artwork? What does it represent? There's like snakes and a cube and people flying off it. So what does that all mean?
It's kind of just a progression from all the other records. The snakes, we had a logo on our last record that was the black crown, and the snakes on the crown had it had S and S, Suicide Silence. And then with this one, we kind of came up with this infinite sign where it's an S. The snakes, if you look at that infinite sign, it's an S and an S. One is frontwards and one is backwards, and it's kind of just symbolizing an infinite suicide silence and going on forever. And that being on that box, the box is just kind of standing on top of the problems, everything that's possibly holding you down. Everything is inside this box, and you can be inside that box, or that box can blow you away, but you can also stand on top of your problems and be unstoppable and be winning at life. And that's kind of that that person on top of that box kind of represents the band, represents the people who support Suicide Silence, the people that have been held down, and people that feel like, when you get out of that, you really just feel like you want to put your hands in the air and like you can do anything.
A lot of bands have been doing this thing where they play albums or EPs in their entirety, front to back. Will you guys be considering this, or no?
That's a good question. I mean, we have been considering that for a little while, but it definitely wouldn't be us playing a new record. Like, we wouldn't do You Can't Stop Me from front to back, I don't think. Maybe in a few years when our first record is, 10-year anniversary or something, maybe we'll end up doing something where we'll go play our first record in its entirety or something, but we're not sure yet.
You guys did release the memorial show that was a CD-DVD combo that did have live performances, but besides that, you guys never released an official live album or live DVD. Will we ever see one from you, or there's no telling?
The chances of it happening are little, because there's no live DVD in the contract for Century Media, and that it's possible. We'd love to do that. I mean, we're definitely all into that, and it would be really cool to do. But at this point, we kind of want to keep our live show to the knowledge of the people that go and see it and be a part of it, because I mean, it's definitely sonically and energetically something to be a part of, and not necessarily just throw in your disc player and watch.
Why did you want to have Eddie come in and take over for Mitch? Why didn't you just go a different direction and have somebody, a brand new youngster take over?
Because the youngster would probably look at it as getting a big gig, and that he's stepping into a position and going to be, automatically a rock star or accepted, where Eddie is a really close friend of ours, and we know that he would treat this job and this task with respect, and know that it's not only coming in and writing music with us and singing Mitch's songs and singing Mitch's lyrics, but it's also dealing with a fan base that has lost an idol, and someone that they've looked up to for a very long time, or possibly never even really got to see us with Mitch, or didn't find out about us until after. And Eddie's a very passionate, heartfelt person that knows exactly what kind of gig he's stepping into. He's not filling shoes. He's moving forward with a band and with a group of people that have been through a lot. And the group of people is the band, and the group of people is all the fans that have been there with us. Speaking
of, the fans and performances, you guys have done a handful of shows with Eddie. How have the fans been reacting to him and you guys again?
It's been really good. It's been, honestly, like, it's really hard to explain, it was a hard thing to do, to move forward without Mitch, and then, it was very nerve-wracking, going on tour without him, just seeing what was going to happen. I mean, we were all very nervous, and we didn't know how it was going to go, but as soon as we got to Brisbane, Australia, before our first shows, we had a day off, and I mean, to be quite honest, we couldn't really even walk down the street to go get lunch. There was always, like, just tons and tons of kids that wanted to come up and talk to us, and it's not like we're not personable. We hung out with a lot of them, but it was just unexpected. We were getting recognized, and people were coming up to us and wanted to talk to us about Mitch and see how we were doing. And the reaction has been heartfelt, full, sincere, and extremely, extremely honest, and seen a lot of tears. And it's a difficult thing to kind of have to go on tour and face that every day and see people that are still they see us, and they burst into tears, and it's pretty easy for me to go back to that spot and feel like miss Mitch. I mean, he's my brother, and he's gone. It's really sad, and it's one of those things. You go on tour, and you have to be ready to to meet people that, you know, they were there too. They've lost someone as well, and it's really crazy. It's a whole new game and a whole new just way of going about life and the band. So it's really eye-opening.
Not to get into a religious aspect or what have you, but have you or any of the other members or managers or anybody experienced anything weird since Mitch's death? Like, has he, you know, given you a sign that, hey, I'm still here, or anything weird like that?
You know,
or do you not want to talk about it?
It's pretty personal stuff. I've definitely had experiences, and I've had dreams, and a couple people have visited mediums and talked to people, and there's been different things that have happened that are pretty unexplainable. But I think that, you know, just one pretty blatant inclination that, you know, he's still here, or that his energy is still here, is that he was writing a song about being unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, just the fact that "You Can't Stop Me" is the last lyrics that he wrote, and to fast forward to where we are right now and the conversation we're having right now, I mean, it's obvious that he's still here.
Yeah. How do you think he's, you know, taking it? Do you think he's happy that you guys moved on, or do you think he's a little bit pissed off? Like, no, that was my job.
I think he would be furious if we stopped because of it. I think it would be like back to the beginning of the interview. It's like, why didn't we put out music, or why do we only put out 4 full lengths in the time we've been together, 12 years? But it's like, it's because we started this as kids, and as something that was a true release and a real something that came not from trying to be a rock star, not from trying to start the biggest, most successful band or anything like that. It came from starting something that everybody wanted to make heavy, heavy music and just be as crazy as possible. And it wouldn't be the same if the band name was changed, or if anything like that, I mean, you want to talk about brutal. I mean, you know, our singer died, and we're still going forward with it. It's like we're trying to be, you know, something that people can look up to in really heavy music. You know, it's something that doesn't exactly, you don't want it to happen, and if it does, you know, you don't want it to stop you. So I think he'd be really, really stoked on the record that we put together. So.
As I mentioned earlier, you guys will be on this summer's Mayhem Festival, of course. But what else do you guys have planned for the rest of this year besides that?
Well, we got to finish Mayhem before we can really give details on exactly what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. But there will be another tour that we will do in the States before the year is over, and yeah, we're just gonna kind of get our feet wet, put the record out, tour on Mayhem, and have a good time with that, and then we'll announce what we're gonna do next.
And is there anything else you want to say or add?
Honestly, I always just want to thank everybody for being a part of this, and I mean, this whole, you know, this band, the music, the people that we meet, and everything that we're a part of. We're extremely grateful to be a part of it, and I'd like to thank everybody for listening to this interview. If you heard this whole thing, or if it's going to be written, then thanks for reading all of it. Just because without you, we are nothing. So we're just really grateful to be Suicide Silence, to have you reading this, and come and rock out, and we'll hang out.